The corner, the corner, the corner. Hey, welcome. Come on into Cousin Ed's Corner. This podcast is where you'll find real, authentic conversation, organic conversation, unscripted, unfiltered conversation, like you're on with your cousin. It's all about life. It's about finance. It's about spirituality. It's about love and everything in between. I'm your host, Cousin Ed. I'm excited to bring you along on this journey. So sit back and listen in as we dive into a wide range of topics. I have some diverse guests coming on with an array of thoughts and opinions. My goal is to create a space all for us to connect and communicate. It's not really about me. It's about the community as a whole. Let's enjoy it. Let's sit back. Let's think about our past. Let's move into our future. It's about the corner, the corner, the corner. So no matter how you cut it or slice it, we're all here together. I'm just here to give you a piece of my heart, my mind, my soul, and my mentals. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. The corner, the corner, the corner. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. What's going on, fam? What's going on, fam? It's your boy, Cousin Ed. We are back. We're back with another one. And you got to excuse me. I've been traveling for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And so the voice is partially gone, but I could not let this moment pass by after the amazing performance last night during the Super Bowl. And I'm from New York, so I love hip hop. I love rap. I love the artistry of poetry. And I was online today and I saw one of my favorite poets out there. And I wanted to get her opinion on last night's performance of Kendrick Lamar. So without further ado, I am honored to have back Essence of Poetry. Welcome back to Cousin Ed's Corner.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to share this space with you. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yes, I so the internet has been going crazy for the last almost 24 hours now since the performance yesterday. And actually for the last 5-6 months that, the world has been going crazy off of his single, Not Like Us, all of the HBCU bands, even the predominantly POW bands at different PWI bands at schools playing it. I'm seeing like this is crazy, right? And but last night he had a chance to do it in front of one of the biggest stages and have the controversy or have the shadow over him to not do it, right? I'm trying to play politically correct in some words, but he had a lot going on. So before I go into it, let's back up. I'm sorry. How have you been? I'm so excited. How have you been?
I'm excited too. I was ready to jump right in it. All is well on my end. I am blessed. My family is well. And I have an amazing opportunity to continue to do life and share and impart the gifts given to me to others. So I dare not utter a word that sounds like complaint. I'm blessed. How are you?
As they say, blessed and highly favored. I am just each day is a birthday. So I'm happy to be here another day. I can complain about it a lot, but it won't get me anywhere. So I'm happy to be above the green. So, and I'm happy to have you back. I'm happy to have this amazing community behind us. Like I said, you are home now. And when I saw your post this morning, I said I had to bring you on. So tell me your evening yesterday. Tell me what led you up to yesterday and what was you anticipating in the show? And then let's talk about the show.
Well, I was really looking forward to the show. I was sharing with some really close friends about the beauty of the game, the great American game of football, as we call it, and the opportunity to share with family, because, we're a football family, and, there's always the rivalry in the household. There's, different sides and teams, and none of our teams were actually in the Super Bowl this time, so we had to kind of pick something to go with. So I was looking forward to that
Mm-hmm.
and looking forward to the show. And, there's a lot of hype and conversation about the rap beef, proverbially speaking, in air quotes, beef.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my my first thoughts were, I would love to see Kendrick Lamar do what I love and appreciate about Kendrick Lamar, and that is have something to say and say it. And my assessment,
Mm-hmm.
he
Mm-hmm.
said it. He said it. He said it.
So I had some of the same feelings, right? And like I said, loving hip hop, right? Growing up on pure words, right? Not beats, not auto tune. I love words, and that's one thing I love about Kendrick. He's a pure MC, and then to actually bring in the performance behind it and the creativity behind it, that's what I was looking forward to. For me, the beef is hip hop is bigger than beef, and I think that we can show our future, we can show our kids a lot more, but sometimes you got to stand on certain things as well, certain principles. So I had mixed emotions going in. I'm glad that he was able to also mix in a lot of symbolism, not only behind a so-called, like you said, air quotes, beef, but so many other symbolisms about America. So I saw a post you posted this morning. That's what got the conversation started, and it was a number of different symbolisms in the show. Do you want to speak about some that you could talk about off the top of your head, and then we can try to break some of them down?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the representation in Kendrick's presentation had a lot to do with what needs to be said, what hasn't been said, or maybe what hasn't been said loudly enough about our current state of wellness, if we can call it that, in our country as it relates to patriotism, citizenship, the fair and equal, dare I say, equitous treatment of all individuals, in particularly Black individuals. And that statement, Charlemagne called it ultra Blackness. That statement was riddled throughout the entire presentation, so much so that I would argue that the beef was secondary, if not tertiary, and that conversation was about Black in America, from Uncle Samuel L. Jackson playing Uncle Sam, and knowing and learning more about the history of Samuel L. Jackson and his advocacy, the representation of the American game, the great American game, but the double entendre of the game being the proverbial game, this game that we play in life where we're trying to figure out what the rules are and how to survive. The pun of Squid Games being, only the strong survive. You got to be smart, you got to be innovative, you got to be creative, you have to play by the rules, but also do all these superfluous things that get you through this very, very teeny tiny space of opportunity. The symbolisms of the buttons on a game controller, the square, the X, the triangle, the circle, and how that represents how we are moving through these different spaces, pressing these certain buttons, tap dancing, so to speak, in order to get to the next level, to get to the next phase. The representation of the flag and how it was parted. I could go on for days.
I know I don't want to pause you right there on the game, because we're going to come back to the flag, right?
So much.
I'm going to work backwards from some of the stuff you said, but the actual game the actual X and O and square and triangle, one symbolism that I caught from it is that we are in a game, right? Going back to, like you said, Squid Game, and we're being played a lot of different times. And
absolutely. And I was just going to add from Squid Game, but also I see it more like Hunger Games. I see it more like Gladiators. I see it more like this, upper echelon of people having the lower echelon of people compete to the death for their entertainment. And my comment was, are you not entertained?
You spoke about Samuel L. Jackson, and he played a house slave or a house Negro, Uncle Tom, in the Django, right?
In Django, yes.
Yeah. And I think his symbolism of playing the Uncle Tom again was big, putting on the American, Uncle Tom flag and suit and everything else, and trying to keep the rest of us on a plantation in line. And I think those symbolisms, I can't even get it out today, what was lost. People didn't understand, why is Samuel there? Why is he saying all these things? But you have to go back and listen to what he's saying. Yeah. Now you did it right. Now you did it right. Are you really? So it was a lot behind.
Yeah, that's what America wants to see. Keep it cool, keep it soft, keep it classy, versus what are you doing? That's ghetto. That's so yes. The narrative couldn't have been more explicative of what Kendrick Lamar was trying to say through that presentation. Even more so than Samuel L. Jackson playing the house slave in Django and now playing the Uncle Tom-esque version of Uncle Sam in this space. I did a little digging and a little research about Samuel L. Jackson and his advocacy, his activism while he was a student at Morehouse, and how basically he was putting himself in a position to protest certain injustices on campus that looked like holding certain administrators hostage even. Like my boy was doing some real serious work so far as advocating for the rights of people on this campus, HBCU, but at that time the administration was anything but B. You know what I'm saying?
Not like us.
Yes, not like us. And so he's doing all these things in his youth, advocating for the rights and fighting against the system. And then you see last night at the Super Bowl halftime show, you see him play the exact opposite role. I thought that was such a systemic switch to say, hey, people in America, if you didn't hear me say it the first time, let me play devil's advocate and let me say it in this voice, and maybe you'll hear what we have to say.
One thing I thought about seeing him, I'm thinking about what was it called? Do the Right Thing. When he's telling America to wake up. He's been saying it.
Absolutely.
Wake up. And yesterday he had to play that part to help us see the opposite side of it and tell us to wake up as well.
But did we see it though?
That's the question. Are we in the Matrix? Are we in the Matrix? That's what I'm saying. A lot of stuff, we're in a game. And are we really seeing what's being played in front of us? You talk about Squid Games. I haven't watched the movie. But seeing the symbolism behind the X, they said the X is somebody who has lost the game. And being from what he said, exploiting the rich. I mean, exploit the rich exploiting the poor. Is that also what you were saying about they playing us?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what happens in the Hunger Games and
Mm-hmm.
in Gladiator, you have the upper echelon, the rich, the haves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Manipulating and
Puppeteering.
configuring, puppeteering this space where the have-nots have to essentially fight against each other again to the death, for the enjoyment, pleasure, and benefit of the have. And I think in some way, proverbially, but also literally, that is still happening. It is still the case. There's a lot of conversation about Black lives, blue lives versus Black lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact of the matter is, a lot of the undercurrents for why Black lives against Black lives is such an issue, it goes back to the systemic control of the financial freedom or not freedom among the have-nots. And unfortunately, more times than not, the have-nots look a certain type of way. They look a certain type of way.
My
It's
pastor,
systemic.
my pastor yesterday talked about the Super Bowl before it happened, and I try to put it in the show notes. But he talked about the truth behind. Me, you talked. We have air quotes behind Kendrick and Drake's beef, right? And
Yes,
we
yes.
don't like people, right? I mean, you could like not like people, but who's actually getting paid the most money? They are both under the same umbrella. So who's going to stop them from burning down both of their houses when the insurance company getting paid no matter what?
Exactly.
So
Absolutely.
it's still a game. Like I remember, and I might be a little aging myself, but I remember when Biggie talked about the world trade, and he talked about the Jews, and they made him take it out in the music. But you can talk about killing your own, they won't say a word about it.
Absolutely. It's all propaganda. It's all an opportunity to control the thought processes of a certain demographic, certain populace of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of it is racial and some of it is not racial. If you can control, manipulate, influence how a person thinks, then you can influence, control, and have jurisdiction over how they behave. Which is why I love so much that Kendrick said, it's you can do all these things, but it's the influence. And he said that in his opening address. And in addition to that, I love the fact that he pointed out the 40 acres and a mule,
Mm-hmm.
and then he said it's so much more than music.
Oh yeah.
And to me, that was the verbal acknowledgement of the fact that I sing these songs because y'all want to hear this beef between me and Drake. But really, what I have to say are these other things. And that's why I feel like the beef was the sprinkle on the top. It was a little bit of icing. It was a little bit of give you what you want. But let's really talk about these matters and these issues.
Well, how did my man Jay said, man, pausing on call, I have a blank right here, but he was basically saying, I want to be like Common Sense, but I did 5 tours, doesn't make common sense. You have to get to the point, and my point behind that is you have to get to the point of the stage you can be on to sometimes make the change that you need to make. And what you just said was Kendrick, he waited to the end. He could have started off with that, but he wanted so many things he had to say on this stage to give them that first. And the beef was a small part.
Absolutely. Oh, completely and entirely. I think the symbolic representation, it's so funny because we're using the word symbolism, but in my opinion, it was so blatant. Like you had to have not been watching. You had to have been in the kitchen grabbing some chicken wings or something during the halftime show to not see what my man's was saying.
Right.
When
There's so
you
many
think
nuggets. I think we're saying it because the nuggets that were there.
They
It's
were
like
dropped.
a song. You have to go back and hear it again. And maybe because we're up on it, we caught it, but they may have loved the colors. Oh, look at them down there with the color. They didn't understand the flag was right there in them colors.
Let's talk about that flag.
Go ahead.
Because I've been wanting and itching to get to this because it was so in your face,
Mm-hmm.
literally. Like the framing, like the actual frame of the
Hmm.
TV Zoom, it was so in your face. So you have these people who have on these colors, the colors of our great country, and
Hmm.
they are organized and choreographed in the shape of the flag, right? You got
Hmm.
bars and stripes, right? And the beauty of this symbolism here to me is Kendrick is in the middle of that flag. And not only is he in the middle, the choreography causes the flag to divide down the middle multiple times. And the dancers dance away. They lean away from that divide and then they lean in and they lean away and they lean in. So you see that several times. But there's one particular frame, and most people have freeze framed and reposted this, where they are all leaning one on the other on each other's backs. So
Mm.
not only are they present, but they are laying their hands on the next person's back to bridge, the flag, so
Mhm.
you get the great mirage of the actual what's actually happened visually. What is so significant to me is every one of those dancers, everyone is black.
Yes.
And you have the visualization of the country on the backs of the blacks.
Go ahead.
Listen.
Go ahead.
Listen, which says in the most profound way, this country was built on the backs of
Mm-hmm.
the blacks. Listen, Kendrick is a whole lyricist. He didn't come to play with these viewers at this Super Bowl halftime show. He said what he said.
And one thing about it is they could not. They could have, but they wasn't going to stop it because it's so much behind what's going on in America right now. And if you were to shut that down, the actual backlash behind that, you have to let the revolution will be televised.
Absolutely. But there was, and he stated that, and I'm so glad that he did, and giving reference to where that reference belongs, respectfully speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm honored that he brought that up. But as I listen to commentary, read commentary, I don't
Yeah.
understand how people did not see the deeper meaning and level. And oh, it's so patriotic. It's so American. It's so this. It's so that. And while it was, I'm not saying that it was anti-patriotic, but it was very much conversive about what's happening in our great country.
One thing I did pick up, and I wish, this is my only wish, if I can take it back, if he could have had Colin Kaepernick with him.
Oh.
I was, you know how you like anticipate? I anticipated him getting out the car.
Yeah.
I
That would have
anticipated that one
been
thing
amazing.
because it
That
is.
would have been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you could produce. I mean, anybody could produce anything. If I had one chance to do one thing, because now you need us to produce your shows. You need us to get your ratings. You need all of that. But before you let a man who was standing up for what he believed in be prosecuted and persecuted by America.
Yeah. I gotta agree with you with that wholeheartedly. And if the truth be told, there are so many countless others who received a lot of backlash for taking a stand and saying what needed to be said, whether that was in word or in deed, or a refusal of a deed. So hats off to everyone who is using their influence to protest, and to advocate for the things that are most important. So like you said earlier, I'm so glad that he was smart enough to use all the superfluous conversation to build the greatest momentum in his career. My boy took home five Grammys?
Five.
5 Grammys, and create an even greater platform for himself and come to the greatest stage, to say
Mm.
what needed to be said.
And
So, if anything, he is an extension of all of those who came before him to speak on similar or the same issue.
I gave this, we're going to keep using the word symbolism, but I gave this quote to my daughter. I was driving in this morning and I said, sometimes you have to stand, many times you have to stand for something. And I said, you may not have heard this, but Muhammad Ali had the championship and he had to stand for not going to Vietnam and give up his championship, his world championship for 3 years and be persecuted and then come back and win it. I said, sometimes they will try to take everything from you, but if you are strong and you stand for what you believe in, no matter what, God will have you. And if you're better, if you work harder and you're better than most, no matter what, it'll show. So
absolutely,
we are better. I'm not afraid to say it. It's proven we're better than yeah.
I love that you pointed out Muhammad Ali and his ability to use his platform, his influence to make a statement. Ironically, 2 days ago, I ended up watching the movie Ray. Again, one of my favorites. And of course, there's the scene where he agrees to not do the show in Georgia because of the segregated audience, the policy of segregating the audience. And he refused to play until they acquiesced his request to integrate per the influence of, I won't call him a heckler, but an activist. So because of his conversation with Ray, and there are other artists who did the same thing to take a stand and to use their influence. And I think that is my main, I guess, jewel to take away from this experience is if we're not utilizing our influence and coming together as a community to do it with unity, what are we doing? Exactly.
Lastly, I take that to go with everything going on in America today and the current boycotts that we have going on. Speaking on what you just said, if we're not coming together to make a stand for something, I'm not sure if you heard what's going on with the Spanish community down in Mexico, Puerto Rico, and Coca-Cola right now. I think they are going to show, they have shown that they can come together. I think we need to show that we can come together and stand for something. And it shouldn't be in anger over somebody having to get killed. We're being killed every day. I'm not saying physically. I'm saying mentally and emotionally. We're being killed every day. And you shouldn't have to see somebody with somebody knee on their neck or see somebody with a hoodie to make you angry about what's going on. It should be something that is in you every day as you wake up and know that your schools are different than other schools. Your jobs are different. The way you are seen in America should make you angry and make you want to come together. So that's just my I gotta agree with you on that. I was blessed with the privilege to share poetry on MLK Day with one of the local chapters. You already you better pull that book out. If not, you better have it ready for me.
I might have to come back. I might have to come back and share. Because I will do that because those particular pieces speak exactly to the point that you make about being energized to do something. And I say in one of those pieces, it is not enough to merely be angry. That there is more, that there has to be action organization, galvanizing a strategized approach to how we are addressing these issues. You can't just be mad. You have to do something, and it has to
That's
be a concerted effort, right? And in that piece, I think in that piece, I'm talking about the present day king.
mm,
Who are the present day kings?
mm,
In the 60s and the 70s, we had iconic activists and leaders
mm-hmm,
who were the voices for the people, so to speak.
mm-hmm.
Who are our present day kings? Who are the present voices who are able to articulate what most of us want to say but don't have the influence or the platform to say it? Which is why I'm so
Yeah.
excited that Kendrick got up on that stage and he said what he had to say. Because we need to be speaking on these things, and we need to be active about what it is that we're changing. But as you were speaking about that, it touched me. And I thank God for the spirit of compassion, because it's easy to become frustrated with those who are not, quote unquote, active in this plight towards a better quality of life. But it literally just hit me like a ton of bricks. Some of us don't have the means to be active because our focus is on bare needs and necessities. And if we reflect on the intricate principles that we learn from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is that if feeding the family and having a place to live is the primary goal, and that goal is not met often on a regular basis, there's so many impoverished people in our communities, our schools. That week we had snow day, so many families were concerned about how they were going to feed their children because they did not anticipate them being home. They were supposed to be at school getting a free meal. So if those are the consuming thoughts, right, then do we have the resources or time or the luxury, I'll say, to fight a fight that's bigger than we ourselves?
This is a whole nother topic, and we're getting away from the show, but I would challenge a lot of that, right? Excuse me. I would challenge a lot of. I worked in the school system some years ago, and we were giving away Chromebooks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we only asked $20 for insurance. You were still getting a Chromebook, only needed to insure the Chromebook.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beginning of the year, so everybody came in, beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And they argued about the $20 for insuring the Chromebook, right?
Yes.
And I can understand some families who have 5 kids, it's $100, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can also look and see you have Jordans on your feet.
Yeah.
I can also see that some of the young ladies had extensions. Nothing against hair. I'm just talking about.
I'm following.
Or nails.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's so many things that we do. As a parent, you got, the new iPhone. So I don't want to put it on only, those there's a lot of things we do that we can make excuses for that.
Yes.
If you look at the boycotts, Montgomery boycotts, I'm pretty sure that was a sacrifice.
Of course.
Leaving Egypt and going across the Nile or going across, that's a sacrifice.
Yes.
You can choose to stay.
Yes.
So I think, and I'm talking to myself too, because I'm working my way through this boycott and everything else, one store at a time and making different choices and everything. So it's all of us, right? So we got to come together, and it goes back to, once again, the leaders. I think if we don't have any leadership behind it, if you don't have a Moses, right? You said king, right? If you don't have a Moses, right, to lead you on that path, right, to give you the guidance, is you in the wilderness by yourself, and you easily turn back around. If you don't have an army behind you to say, come on, I got you, and put you on my back, because you don't have food for your kids right now, but guess what? Your next door neighbor said, I got you.
Exactly.
So it takes a lot. And this is a conversation, I just had this conversation I think last week, and I said,
Mm-hmm.
could the church do more? And that's a whole nother show.
As my grandmother would say, "Whoo!" Oh my goodness. Yes, sir. That's a lot to unpack from the support of community agencies and the church, the community camaraderie of lending a cup of sugar, right,
Mm-hmm.
to each other, the decision to forego certain things in the
Mm-hmm.
way of sacrifice,
Mm-hmm.
and the selflessness
There you go.
that takes, right, to move beyond my foe and no mo, and let's do something greater than ourselves because there are generations coming behind us. So
Mm-hmm.
if we have to be martyrs today, we do that because we believe in a better world, a better life for our children and their children. But some of us are we could benefit from an opportunity to be more selfless. I'll say it that way.
We are in the Matrix and we're playing the game. That we're being played.
Hmm.
There's a game being played.
Red pill or the blue pill. And it's
Another.
so cute that because one of the funniest lines, but it's it's so jam packed in that whole conversation about the red pill or the blue pill, and the gentleman who was kind of cynical at the end of the movie, who ended up being a traitor, he was like, "Why, oh why, didn't I take the blue pill?" In
Mm-hmm.
essence, remaining
In the
um
Matrix.
yes, remaining in the matrix, staying in that subconscious realm, not being conscious and aware of all these things that are going on because it was easier when I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know.
Mm-hmm. It's easy when your head is in the sand and you just going through the Matrix. But when you
Hmm.
awaken, man, it is stress because you
There's a
have
responsibility.
you have knowledge.
Yes.
My sister, I'm
Yes,
glad that we had
sir.
the time to get together. Any last words about the show last night? About the state of America? Anything you have going on that you would like for us to support you on? Cousin Ed's Corner is always here, but definitely give out your information. We're here.
Yes,
It's your
yes, yes,
time.
yes, absolutely. More than anything, I think this show, the halftime show, the Super Bowl as a whole, is a great story about resilience and utilizing our strengths, our tools, our resources to come together for one great good, and that is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if we can figure out a way to do that together, I think the world will be a better place. As it relates to things that I have coming up, I'm very honored and grateful for the call that's on my life as it relates to using my gifts and talents to bring people together as we bring each other up. And then I have 4 sessions planned over the course of 2025 where I am going to be facilitating mental health first aid courses to help
Mm,
our people. And I say our, meaning the human
mm,
race,
mhm,
all people become equipped, trained, and certified to identify and recognize when our fellow brothers and sisters may be experiencing a mental health challenge. We
mm,
are not licensed clinicians. We do not practice in that way, but the awareness and raising the awareness and reducing stigma is what that program is about. And so I will be offering 4 courses virtually over the course of this year. I'm holding about 20 seats per class. So
okay.
when I release those dates, we got to get in quickly because the community has asked. And I'm grateful to be able to offer. It is a 3-year certification. It is a mental health first aid certification. So I will have all that information on my Instagram page, Essence of Poetry, as well as on my website, essencetrainingandconsulting.com, and I'll make sure that you have it here as well.
Well, I definitely appreciate you. Thank you for giving out all of your contact information. She is a family member of the show. We are truly blessed to have her as part of our community. And I'm happy that you were able to take some time out this afternoon, this evening, to join myself and Cousin Ed's Corner for this topic. I'm looking forward to us getting back together again. I am in talks with her about a spot, like her coming back, you see she laughed, her coming back more often and us arranging times, because speaking to her just is it's a joy. I'll say that much. It's a joy. So definitely appreciate you once again, my sister. Everybody, we love you. We love you. We love you. Please go back and watch that halftime show for the symbolisms behind it. All across the internet right now, they're showing you just different parts that you may have missed. It's like going back hearing a song and you be like, man, I didn't know that was what he meant. So go back and check all the symbolisms behind it. And if you want to reach out to us, go ahead and reach out to us, 762-333-2032. That's 762-333-2032. Also, you can reach me or the show on any social media platform under cousinedscorner.com. Love you guys. We're out of here. Peace.
Peace.
Hey world, it is your girl Essence, because I am the true essence of poetry, and when I am not tapping into the Super Bowl halftime show, I am listening to Cousin Ed's Corner.
Thank you for listening to Cousin Ed's Corner.